Hi there, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to talk about how to use UWorld explanations to help your students build writing skills. My name is Annalise Harris, and I'm an implementation strategist here at UWorld. Before joining UWorld, I taught high school science, including AP Biology and AP Environmental Science, for 14 years. I've also worked as an AP reader for the AP Biology exam for the last 11 years, so I know how important it is to help students build their writing skills. As AP teachers, you already know how important it is to have students practice answering the types of questions they'll see on the AP exam. Our multiple-choice questions expose students to the rigor they'll see on the AP exam and help build content knowledge and reasoning. Each topic for every unit has a set of practice questions that mimic the difficulty and style of questions students will see on the AP exam. You can also create your own set of practice questions using our extensive question bank. These questions can be used in several different ways. You can assign them to the whole class or to individual students. They can be used as pre- or post-assessment. They can be used as exit tickets or bell ringers, and they can be used as reviews. When I would review multiple-choice questions with my students or have them write out corrections to their missed questions, I noticed that students often struggled to put their thoughts into words. They often couldn't justify their answers or provide detail for their reasoning. Or they would tell me, "I think I understand why this answer is right, but I don't really get why what I chose was wrong." The resources I had at the time didn't give detailed explanations for right and wrong answers, so I ended up spending a lot of time going through questions with students one at a time. This is where UWorld can help fill in the gaps. The answer explanations for our questions are mini lessons. The diagrams and linked definitions provide foundational knowledge to help students answer the question. And there's detailed reasoning behind why the correct answer is right and why the distractors are wrong. Now, if you tell students, "Hey guys, be sure to look over those answer explanations," they probably aren't going to do it on their own. They're teenagers after all. The explanations can look intimidating if students don't know how to approach them. To help your students better understand these answer explanations, you can use a simple reflection routine. First, have students answer a multiple-choice question on their own and write a brief justification for why they chose that answer. Next, have students pair and share. They don't need to revise their answers at this point, they're just sharing their thought process with a peer. Step 3 is where you'll have students compare their answer and justification to the UWorld answer explanation. For the first few times you do this in class, I would go through the explanation with the whole class and walk students through how to read over the explanation. Lastly, have students revise their answers and summarize their learning. If they pick the correct answer, does their explanation match the UWorld explanation, or do they need to add a bit more detail? If they pick the wrong answer, do they understand why their answer was wrong and what mistakes they made? What do they need to remember to not make the same mistake again? So the reflection routine could look something like this. You project a question on the board for students, like this one from AP Biology. Give students time to answer on their own and write a brief explanation for their answer. Then have students pair and share with each other. After they've had time to share with a partner, you can reveal the answer explanation. This is where students will compare their answer and explanation to the UWorld answer explanation. Again, the first few times you do this with your students, you'll need to go through the explanation with the whole class. I would have students start with a diagram. In this example, ask students what they notice about the water molecules in the cooler temperature versus the water molecules in the warmer temperature. What kind of trend do they see on the graph? Then we can move on to the written explanation. Explain to students how the beginning of the explanation gives foundational knowledge they need to answer the question. Then it goes on to explain why the correct answer is right. In this case, option B was our correct answer. The rest of the explanation goes on to explain why the distractors are wrong and summarizes a key concept at the end for students to remember. Now you can have students revise their answers and summarize their learning. Reviewing the explanation with students will require some effort in the beginning, but once you've walked students through how to read and understand the answer explanations, they'll be able to use them on their own. Multiple-choice questions on their own are great practice, but partner with the answer explanations. Students see examples of how to justify and provide evidence for their reasoning, and they get clarification on distractors to help them eliminate misconceptions. Using the answer explanations along with the multiple-choice questions allows you to bridge the gap between success on multiple-choice questions and success on the free response questions. The more students interact with the answer explanations, the more exposure they have to justification and evidence-based reasoning. This helps prepare them to answer those justify, describe, explain, and evaluate task verbs they'll see on the AP exam. Thanks for joining me today. For more information about our courses for AP and all the ways it can save you time and help students succeed, visit us at collegereadiness.uworld.com.